Hey, welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. It's me, your host, Fearless Floyd, and I'm still in San Antonio visiting my family. This is part 6 of the Darrell Link story, A Farmer's Nightmare. So I'm waiting on Darrell to jump on. He's texting me, so we're dealing with more technical issues. Like I said, it's very difficult when people have phones for them to jump on because I'm sending links, same message. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'll do it again. We'll try this way. Did the same thing that I did yesterday, so I don't understand. Hang on, I'm going to pause the video again. It is, and I'm still trying to get Darrell. We're apparently everything I did yesterday to get the video to work correctly, we did, and I did the same thing today, and apparently it's not working for some reason, and I'm resending him all the codes, so hopefully he'll jump on here in a minute. And as you see, I'm wearing my Trump 2024 hat. Keep America great. We're not doing so great. But anyway, we're talking about my great aunt. So y'all go check out that video, man. She was quite the trailblazer for her time, for her station in life, and adversaries she went up against. So yeah, quite a remarkable woman, even if she wasn't my great fearless aunt. So now you kind of know where I get my background from, why I do what I do. And I don't know why Darrell has not jumped on again yet. May just postpone this and just do it when I get. Oh, there he is.
I'm in. Can
Hey,
you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Yeah, I think I found the problem.
Ah, okay. Well, good. I didn't know if it was on my. I didn't think it was on my end. All right.
No, and I wrote it down. I missed the 7.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no biggie.
My
All right. We are rolling. And of course, Jesse's calling me. I had to decline that. I'll take that in a minute. Let me get you segue in. This is the Darrell Link story, A Farmer's Nightmare. And I was just talking about my great aunt, Darrell. I don't know if you're aware, but she is on the U.S. quarter that came out in 2023.
I did watch that last night.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, blew my doors off. And then my cousin came and handed me a picture of her, and I'm like, holy cow. Wow. All right. That's pretty cool. And they had the celebration. They had a
That Fearless
celebration.
is in the bloodline.
Yeah, well, they had a celebration here in San Antonio, and nobody told me about it. I wasn't aware of it, or I would have definitely attended. So, yeah, wow, quite an honor for our family. Anyway, let's get to the nightmare that you have encountered. You sent me a new document. Again, briefly, more brief than what we did yesterday. Well, let's just put it this way. Darrell got sick, got some money from his father right out of high school, about $600, invested in some cattle, turned it into what, a multi-million-dollar operation? Darrell?
No, I couldn't say that. It's
Okay.
maybe closer to $1 million before they took everything.
Right, but in today's money with inflation, it would probably be
Yeah, well, yeah, with the inflation today, it'd be different. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Add quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah, remarkable story. Pulled himself up by the bootstraps and had everything taken away from him. And this is his story of how what he calls a swarm or hive mentality of, I would say, government and corporate officials working in harmony, concert to take what they want. Basically, is that pretty much it in a nutshell, Darrell?
Pretty much, it's basically trying to protect the banking interest and keep their scam going, where they can lend out nothing, where you go in and sign your name and pledge everything that you got. They had nothing to begin with, and that's why they always smile when you walk in the bank, because here comes another sucker, that he's going to sign his name, and we'll lend him nothing, and we'll want him to come back and pay interest. And then if he don't come back with the principal and the interest, we'll take all this something.
Right.
So that's a little Ponzi scheme that's went on for a long time.
Yeah, and when you go up to the counter next time, look for that little bowl of suckers, and usually they are manufactured, and the brand name is Dum Dums. Absolutely. If your bank has Dum Dums suckers sitting there waiting for all of the customers, yeah, how highly do they think of you? All right, where do you want to start, Darrell?
Well, I could start where we finished off on part 5, where I was dismissed out of bankruptcy, and
Okay.
the court basically ruled that there was specifically no existence of fraud on my part, returned all the property back to me, and I
Okay.
was dismissed.
Right.
And then about a week or so later, I believe it was
Okay.
7 days,
Yeah, hang on.
and
Can I interrupt you just for 1 second? Because we found something today. I want to put this out there in the video. Maybe you can answer it
okay,
as well. Maybe you've seen this or heard of it. We don't know, but it one of my viewers in Telegram posted this. They did this yesterday. This isn't theirs, okay? But you see the principal address right here, Wildwood.
I can't see it.
Okay, it's okay. Well, I'm showing everybody else. It has UN, and if you look at the mailing address, it's Wildwood, Florida. So they've inverted the zip code in UN. They've reversed it. So you should be Wildwood, Florida, and zip code. Over here it says Wildwood, zip code, UN.
UN or
U-
UN?
UN, like United Nations.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is just one. I just did a search. I don't even know who these people are. So this is no way related to any of my subscribers or anything. This is just public knowledge. I just went and did a search. And let me pull this down a little bit.
Maybe I need to do a little disclaimer that if
This
I
is
have a bullet hole in my leg and 2 shots in my head, I'm not suicidal, and it
right.
wasn't a suicide.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
If you're hanging from a doorknob with a necktie,
that,
you're not suicidal.
yeah,
This is what he did last night. As you see, November 11th, 2023, he went and got a fictitious name for his all capital name. And there's a certificate. But when he got this back, boom, he got this Wildwood UN. There's
I
Florida.
had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, well, we're not accusing you, Darrell. But anyway, that's a question. So if anybody, if you have any information on that, or you're going to dive into it, go over to my Telegram, the Fearless Floyd Show. Email me, the Fearless Floyd Show at yahoo.com. Leave a comment or question below, and we'll dive into this, because that's very concerning, not just for us, but for the entire nation. Have we been sold out? Have we been taken over without our knowledge? So yeah, that's something to look at. All right, Darrell. So sorry about that. Continue.
Okay, you probably should restart where we
Yeah,
began,
that's fun.
and
Yeah,
so it's one continuance.
sure.
Yeah. Well, back in it was September 29th, 1994. I was in a Chapter 12 bankruptcy, and I basically used negotiable instruments that were, basically paid based upon that they had to send it to the Attorney General and determine the substance of said money. And they were, payable to Federal Land Bank or Production Credit Association, Farmers Home Administration, FHA, and the Commercial State Bank of Wagner, South Dakota. And so I discharged the debt, since in Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1, we have no lawful money to pay debt. So I used what was available, which is other promises to pay, since our credit is based upon our signature. And all debt, there's nobody that has the money that is in numbers. But the difference between 1 million, 1 billion, and 1 trillion, and most people can't even comprehend this here. If you count it takes you 12 days to count to 1 million. It'll take you 31 and a half years to count to 1 billion. It will take you 31 or almost 32,000 years to count to 1 trillion. And today the budget we're talking quadrillion. So that's 1,000 trillion. So this is the volume that we're trying to live in, this illusion. And they're saying that we're borrowing money from who? Who has this kind of money? It is the people. It is you are the creditor. And they're usurping and deceiving us, just like Floyd said earlier, when you go into the bank, it's the sucker that they offer you as just come in and sign your name. And then let us be the middleman and take our usury that is identified as an abomination in Scripture. But anyway, I addressed that. I was dismissed out of bankruptcy. The judge ruled that there was specifically no existence of fraud on the debtor's part, which was my estate, and returned all the property back to me, and I was out. And then I was working with Joe Holland, who worked with the Security Exchange Commission, and he, told me if I could get out of bankruptcy, do whatever I had to do to get out, he could help me. But if I signed that plan and the schedules, I've completed the contract, and I would be bound to that contract for the duration, which is normally like 7 years. So I got dismissed, and then I was preparing a non-judicial commercial lien process, a notice, and I served that upon all the parties, and there was 58 of them that were trying to take substance for an issuance of credit. And when I did that, I served it on about the 7th day, and it got the hornet's nest pretty riled up, and they didn't know what to do because they couldn't rebut the affidavit. It was required that they rebut it point by affidavit under the penalties of perjury within 30 days. And they didn't know what to do. So they had an emergency hearing and immediately reinstated the dismissed bankruptcy and moved to convert it to a Chapter 7. So if you want to put up that Exhibit II, which is 8 pages, I'll kind of go through that. It's regarding the all caps name, Darrell A. Link, and right underneath it, they got the Social Security number. Okay, and remember that Social Security number does not belong to you, and that card does not belong to you, because it says right on the card that if they ask for it back, you must return it because it is not yours. It belongs to the corporation. And this is how they're using you as the surety for this here commercial vessel, which is a transient agent to discharge debt or participate in this commercial process in commerce. But what this was a supplement where the Chapter 7 trustee, they would continue to, threaten me to dismiss the case, that if I didn't hurry up and sign the plan and the schedules, kind of coerced me into signing it. And I could not agree with PCA, and they were trying to make it impossible for me to fulfill the plan. And this was stated in that letter from Cecilia Grunewald, an attorney that I retained to help me. And she wrote this in her letter that PCA was resisting on being able to complete this plan because all they wanted to do is liquidate. And even though they had an oversecured position. So, and what this here exhibit that we're showing is basically a supplement. PCA of the Midlands, supplementation of its prior motion to convert Chapter 7 bankruptcy for fraud in connection with case number or under 11 U.S. Code, Section 1208, or in the alternative removal of debtor as a debtor in possession. And like I mentioned yesterday, in all their titles in the U.S. Code Chapter 11, Title 11 is bankruptcy code. And when you go into the definitions of United States, state, or municipality, it says, which includes the District of Columbia, Guam, Puerto Rico, and its territories and insular possessions. So that is the only place that Title 11 applies. It don't apply out here in the territories. And so I address this in my deal, but I'm going to read through this document. It says, comes now, Production Credit Association of the Midlands, hereinafter referred to as PCA, by and through its counsel, Douglas R. Kettering. The files and serves its supplementation to its prior motion to convert to a Chapter 7, or in the alternative, remove debtor.
What exhibit are you reading, Darrell?
That I.
The one that last one you just sent me?
Yes.
Okay, let me open it up. Hang on.
And this is the bottom of the first paragraph. It says, removal of debtor in possession.
No, it's not open. Hang on.
And okay. Yeah, I should have sent this here, but I had my folder for August, September got misplaced, and I don't know under what pile it's at, and I've been looking for it, and I couldn't find it, but I found this in another folder.
Yeah, that was Jesse on the phone. Yeah, I just got a letter yesterday from my probate court to remove my minor disabilities, and I need to put in my final order.
Okay. Did you get the document up, or?
Pardon me?
Did you get the document up?
It's in my Telegram, but I was talking to Jesse about it because that's the final move. Remove those minor disabilities, you get all your rights back, get access to your trust, whole 9 yards. Now I've got it in black and white, and I'm fixing to go do it. And that's what we were talking about while you were speaking. So anyway, let me get this instrument over here and follow you along now. All right. We're looking at II, 8 pages, filed August 16th, 1994, PCA attorney Douglas Kettering, United States Bankruptcy Court, District of South Dakota, Southern Division. All right.
Okay, well, we talked about the introduction up there in the headings. Where this is where it comes now, Production Credit Association of the Midlands, referred to as PCA through its counsel, Douglas R. Kettering, files and serves its supplementation to its prior motion to convert to a Chapter 7, or in the alternative, remove debtor as debtor in possession. And for its supplementation and its prior motion states and alleges the following. Number 1, the debtor, by use of a fraudulent money order, has attempted to fraudulently and deceitfully coerce PCA to satisfy debtors' indebtedness with them, that said alleged certificate or certified money order was worthless, non-negotiable, and had no value whatsoever. A copy of said alleged certified money order is attached hereto, marked Exhibit A, and by this reference thereto made a part hereof, that this fraudulent attempt of the debtor has become the basis of the debtor to dismiss his bankruptcy. Number 2, furthermore, debtor has attempted by various filings that the Register of Deeds office located in Charles Mix County, South Dakota, with an affidavit of revocation and rescission of signature and power of attorney to revoke all bank signature cards, Social Security number, voter registration cards, and IRS forms. a copy of which is hereto attached and marked, Exhibit B. Number 2, debtor has further attempted to state that this second page, that he is an independent entity. Now, he didn't identify me as a man. He said that I am an independent entity, not subject to the laws of South Dakota. And I added state of South Dakota because what they're identifying is a corporation. The laws of South Dakota or the United States by various other filings, including an affidavit of non-subject status, a copy which is hereto attached and marked Exhibit C, an affidavit of status of an American national, a copy of which is hereto attached and marked as Exhibit D. Furthermore, debtor has filed a declaration of homestead, filed other documents in an attempt to cloud title to his real property, copies of which are attached and marked as Exhibit E and F, respectively. And paragraph number 3, it says that the above acts are fraudulent in nature and are in violation of the tenor of the Chapter 12 reorganization and are all based upon spurious doings without basis. That is such, it is clear that the debtor is not amenable to reorganization, nor to the United States bankruptcy laws and the authority of the court therein. Wherefore, PCA prays that the court issue an order either converting the debtor to a Chapter 12 or a Chapter 7, or removing the debtor as debtor in possession and placing trustee Rick Yarnell in charge of the debtor's estate, or for such other and further relief that the court may deem just and equitable in the premise. Dated 16th day of August, 1994, signed by Douglas R. Kettering, attorney for PCA of Kabizman, Hosmer, and Kettering of 1100 Broadway, Yankton, South Dakota. Okay, and then attached, you'll see, I didn't, for some reason, some of the exhibits were missing, the A, B, and C, but we showed them yesterday on part number 5.
Okay.
The non-subject status, the affidavit of American National, and that. But here is Exhibit E, which is basically the Declaration of Homestead, and where I filed that, and that's 2 pages. And then there's Exhibit F, which is basically a land patent, where I brought the land patent.
I'm blowing up E for everybody so they can see it. I had to rotate.
You mean E?
It. Yeah, I'm on E, but I had to rotate it.
Right.
And blow it up so everybody could read it. Declaration of Homestead.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, and the Declaration of Homestead, yeah, these were all on this here paper sideways, but that's the way he entered it into exhibits.
Right. Now I'm going to flip around for everybody so we can read it. We, Darrell Link, do hereby declare the following. Number 2, that my mail receiving location for my homestead is in care of Route number 1, Box 67, Delmont, South Dakota, Postal Zone 57330. Number 3, that I am now an inhabitant on the land and premises located in the Delmont City, Charles Mix County, South Dakota, known and legally described as follows: the west 1/2 of southeast quarter and east 1/2 of the southwest quarter in section 10, township 96 north of range 62 west of 5th principal meridian, containing 160 acres of Charles Mix County, South Dakota. Crazy how they categorize everything. I do hereby declare and claim said premises as a homestead. No former declaration of homestead has been made by me except as has been abandoned. August 5th, 1994, Darrell Link, page 1 of 2, continued on the following page. Basically, it's your acknowledgement jurat, notarized. And then Exhibit F. So what do we have here in
Yeah,
Exhibit
and that
F?
and that is just a declaration of land patent, and it's the one-page document.
And
Or, no, it's actually 2 pages.
okay. Appointment through the claim of Charles Euchre. Am I reading that correctly?
Let's see.
Right here. Looks like
It's Melvin Euchre.
Ecker.
Yeah, it was Melvin Euchre.
Melvin. Well, it says Charles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his brother or father or something. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. It was homesteaded through them, probably.
Yeah.
That was probably his. He probably is the one that originally was on the patent.
Okay. What's up, girly girl? All right. I'm in the middle of making another video. You want to come put your foot in the middle of it? No?
My foot's not.
Yeah, you're going to act right now, huh?
This is my grandma's foot.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Darrell. Sorry.
Yeah, what you'll notice through this whole process, you'll see it's basically the Bar Association, which really is a foreign entity. You know, of foreign agents who are required to register as foreign agents under the FARA, which is the Foreign Agents Registration Act.
Right.
And you'll see how they work as a swarm of vultures working together to eat the substance out of the working class people on the land at law, like parasites. I mean, and I explained that the difference between in-law and at law yesterday, where if you were it was 30 below zero outside and you were right at the door, and you couldn't get in the door, you couldn't get relief from the cold. But if you could get in the house or get in-law, you could get relief. And this is the difference between in-law and at-law. And you see all these big signs, proud as a peacock, attorney at law. And this is the deception that they hold against us. And, you know, the same as, you know, Colorado versus the state of Colorado. You know, when you look at a map or atlas, it'll say Colorado, Kansas, Texas, New York.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But the state of Colorado and the county of is different than, like, the county of Baca is the corporate, which is the subcorporation of the corporate state of Colorado, which is a subcorporation of the corporate United States, which is operating out of the District of Columbia. But anyway,
one's a corporation and the other's a geographic region.
Yeah, outside the territory. You know, it is at law. They operate on a separate plane apart from the land. It's like they are operating over the land, but not on the land. But in the same area, and they use different style of language to confuse the people and deceive them into thinking it's one and the same. Just like on a tombstone, they put your name in all capital letters because you're civilly dead. You're not recognized. You have no rights. And this is the same name that they put on your driver license, social security card, all these attachments, your ASC payments, everything is always in all capital letters. That's for a reason. You're identified as that legal vessel person, which is civilly dead. And it's nothing more than a transient agent for the estate. And I'm going to explain the difference in real estate taxes. And this is where the county uses the same land description and assesses a tax at law for the privilege of paying a tax or claimed real estate using the same land description. And then they make this false claim against the true landowner who basically holds his property in law and equity. But they're saying that you're paying this here tax to this here corporate state of or the county of, and they're saying that, you know, by paying this here tax, you have the privilege to be a tenant. And this is how they've been removing the property from the true owner of the property. If you actually purchase your land with lawful money and you are the true owner, who could be making a claim against your property, against your land? Nobody. It's yours. But yet the corporation imposes itself that if you don't submit and go ahead and pay this here, they're going to come and they're going to send their swarm of vultures out there and they're going to beat you up, throw you in jail, put a big fine on you. Media is going to discriminate against you. They're going to put all these bad rumors about, how, you're not, supporting your community and all this kind of stuff. But this is kind of a force that, has come against us. And so, if you purchased your land with lawful money, then how can the state corporation assess a tax if you own the land? So, and this is where, we must know the truth and what the truth holds. Where Zechariah chapter 8, verse 16 is a direct command to us. It says, "These things I say unto thee, speak truth to thy neighbor and execute the judgment of truth, and you'll have peace in your gates." So if I'm wrong on anything that I ever present, please correct me with facts in writing. And because I do not want to be accountable for anything that, I may have misspoke. So, but, I only desire to, to expose this here corruption, that we can be set free from the lies and deception. So go to letter I, which is the promissory note. So I have my notes here. Okay, and this here, let's see, where am I at here? I filed this here negotiable instrument. This was dated October 5th, 1994, and I issued it and sent this negotiable instrument to PCA number 011, and it was debited from the counterclaim proceeds. Since they didn't like my certified money order, maybe I could get this issue into the state court, where the Constitution says in Article 1, Section 10, that no state shall make anything but gold or silver coin a tender for payment of debts. And there is no lawful money to circulate for payment, and only discharge and set off. So I thought, maybe, and I had these commercial liens now that I was getting in the process of being matured. And so we had all kinds of credit to be drawn from. And this is in my counterclaim, where I addressed and got dismissed out of bankruptcy, and we addressed that issue. So if you want to go to letter J, where I did on October 5th, I also did an affidavit of revocation of signature and power of attorney on the promissory notes, the financing statements, and the security agreements with PCA for fraud and misrepresentation. And I'll just read through it here a little bit. It's in the state of South Dakota, county of Charles Mix, to whom this may concern. I, the undersigned, a natural individual and with full powers to contract and to rescind for fraud and misrepresentation, do hereby revoke and make void, per UCC section 2-608 ab initio, which is from the beginning, all signatures on any and all instruments and any express or implied power of attorney therewith, in fact or assumption, signed either by me or anyone acting as agent or undersigned, as it pertains to the promissory note. And there was one for $100,000 November 16, 1990, and then another one for $110 dated January 24th, 1991. And then the UCC financing statements, there's 4 of them listed. And then security agreements, and there's 2 of them listed. Then it goes on, I, the undersigned, do hereby revoke, cancel, annul, repeal, dismiss, discharge, extract, withdraw, abrogate, recant, negate, strike, repudiate, wipe out, disavow, recall, renounce, destroy, abjure, disclaim, disown, reject, or relinquish all signatures and powers of attorney in or assumption with or without my consent and or knowledge as it pertains to any of the above mentioned documents and foregoing action is retroactive to the date of such signatures. I further state and notice that a promissory note, negotiable instrument, number 011, replaces, cancels, repudiates, discharges the obligations existing in prior instruments listed above. This for discharge purposes for that valuable consideration referenced in same notes and security agreements. To put Production Credit Association of the Midlands back to its original position held prior to the signing of the above referenced instruments. Witnessed my hand on this 5th day of October, 1994, Darrell A. Link, subscribed and affirmed on the 5th day of October, 1994, by notary. Okay, and then next page is J2, the second page, is a notice of rescission and discharge, to whom this may concern. This notice to you that the enclosed note, negotiable instrument number 011, discharges the original obligation referenced as a valuable consideration in promissory notes dated November 16, 1990, 100,000, and January 24th, 1990, 110,000. Thank you very much. Please take further notice that the affidavit of revocation of and rescission of signature and power of attorney, all signatures are revoked retroactive to the date of signing. Because I just recently found out that Production Credit Association of the Midlands did not perform the valuable consideration thought to be lawful payment of $210,000 as represented when notes were signed, but merely a middle entity alleging services that were not needed nor rendered. That is why I rescind my signatures on those financing statements, security agreements, and notes, and give back what I believe you had given me as valuable consideration. I will give you 30 days to show cause why the notes, financing statement, and security agreements should not be rescinded based on fraud and misrepresentation as required by UCC 2-608 and the second part of that. Anytime you want to tender payment on a new note, bring the old notes, endorse with all security agreements and financing statements satisfied with proper notice of the authority and proper credentials, you receive tender of payment on it. This note will become null and void in 60 days if you don't bring it for tender of payment and an opportunity to satisfy the note. If you have problems getting to the location below within 60 days, please let me know, and I can give you an extension of time in writing. If you cannot bring it by within 60 days, you have no reason to show cause why you can't bring it by within that time. We will consider the obligation extinguished and fully discharged. Thank you again and bless you. Darrell A. Link, signed, United States Post Office, Row 1, Box 67, Delmont, South Dakota. Location, 6 miles east of Wagner on Highway 46, 4 miles north on county pavement, 1/2 mile east on the north side of the road. Please give notice at mailing location above before coming. Please return to me all original notes, endorsements, and mortgages referenced for discharge. Served on October 5th, 1994 by certified mail. So that was meant, and I thought that is only fair since I was the one that created the first promissory note. I can create my own promissory note and discharge the first one. And so this is an opportunity to give them back and put them in the exact same position they were in before those first notes were signed. And apparently they didn't think that was fair, that we have equal consideration shared both ways. They wanted the substance for my signature. Okay, and Exhibit K. This is this here is filed in the United States Bankruptcy Court, District of South Dakota, Southern Division, case number 94-40136, Chapter 12. And here again, the same thing on the left side with my all caps name and the Social Security number as debtor. Response of PCA to debtor's affidavit of revocation and rescission of signature and power of attorney and notice of rescission and discharge. Comes now, Production Credit Association of the Midlands, hereinafter PCA, and objects to the debtor's filings as follows. That said document is not based upon legal authority, nor is it an act which the debtor is legally or unilaterally empowered to take with regard to his financial obligations to this creditor. Furthermore, PCA states to the court that contrary to the intent of the document, the same does not abrogate the debtor's obligations as arose from prior final or financial documents, notes, and mortgages, liens, or UCC-1s executed by the debtor until such time as the indebtedness of PCA has been paid in full. Here, this was dated the 16th day of November, 1994, signed by Douglas Kettering, attorney for PCA of the Midlands, Hosmer and Kettering of Yankton, South Dakota. Here again, he's acting as judge, jury, and executioner. He's making a decision that it's not legally or unilaterally, then I don't have no authority. Like he's the only one that has authority to control that legal fiction up there in the caption. And remember, up there in the caption, those are captured parties. And that's another element that they kind of trick you into. So let's go to Exhibit L. And here again, Exhibit L is 2 pages. United States Bankruptcy Court, District of South Dakota. Same case number, Chapter 12. And this is Chapter 12's trustee's motion to vacate, alter, amend, or modify order of dismissal and reservation of jurisdiction on certain matters. Comes now, Rick A. Yarnell, the Chapter 12 trustee in the above captioned bankruptcy estate, making this motion to vacate, alter, amend, or modify the order of dismissal and reservation of jurisdiction on certain matters entered by the court on September 29, 1994. In reference to the above captioned matter, that said motion is predicated upon the following. Number 1, that the court entered its order of dismissal and reservation of jurisdiction on certain matters on September 29, 1994. Number 2, following the entry of that order, the debtor served a commercial affidavit of truth, notice of non-judicial proceeding, notice of warning of commercial grace, which he signed on August 25, 1994, upon 58 individuals and entities. A copy of the commercial affidavit of truth, notice of non-judicial proceeding, notice and warning of commercial grace, explanation sheet, and information sheet is attached hereto as Exhibit 1 of this original motion. A copy of these documents may be obtained from the clerk of the United States Bankruptcy Court or from Rick A. Yarnell, Chapter 12 Bankruptcy Trustee. This document will not be served upon any creditors or parties in interest and will only be attached to the original motion to vacate, alter, amend, or modify the order of dismissal and reservation of jurisdiction on certain matters. Paragraph 3. The Chapter 12 trustee has concern about the intentions and effect of this document upon all parties served including this Chapter 12 trustee. In paragraph number 4, that the Chapter 12 trustee and his certified legal assistant, as well as other parties, have had their personal residential addresses listed on the lien debtor list. The Chapter 12 trustee has reasons or suspicions to believe that debtor may be intending to file a lien against his real property and personal property. Now, later on, you'll find out that they try to claim that these are fraudulent liens and fraudulent this and all that kind of stuff. And that's all facial, because this was only a notice and an opportunity, and it gave them grace and an opportunity to rebut it. They had 30 days. But if they couldn't, well, then they apparently were guilty of the 3 counts that were listed on there. That the chapter number, paragraph number 5, that the Chapter 12 trustee requests this court to retain jurisdiction over the matter that has been mailed by certified mail, return receipt requested by the debtor, so that in the event the debtor intends to proceed on this matter or should subsequently encumber anyone's real property, real or personal property, or any other matter related to this, or any other matter brought by the debtor in any subsequent proceeding which may intend to encumber any real or personal property of the listed parties. Paragraph number 6, that as an additional option, the trustee requests the court to vacate its order of dismissal and reservation of jurisdiction on certain matters. Retain jurisdiction in this case to consider the trustee's motion to convert case to a Chapter 7, or the removal of the debtor pursuant to Title 11 U.S. Code 1204. Wherefore, the Chapter 12 trustee prays that the court to vacate, alter, amend, or modify the order of dismissal and reservation of jurisdiction on certain matters, to include retention of truth, or retention of jurisdiction of the matter denoted as commercial affidavit of truth, notice of non-judicial proceeding, notice of warning of commercial grace, and the matters related thereto, to vacate its order of dismissal and reservation of jurisdiction on certain matters. On its entirety, to retain jurisdiction to consider this trustee's motion to convert to a Chapter 7 or remove pursuant to Title 11 USC 1204, or for other and further relief as the court may deem just and equitable in the premises. Dated the 7th day of October, 1994, at Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Signed, Rick A. Arnell, Bankruptcy Trustee, Chapter 12 Bankruptcy Trustee at 300 North Dakota Avenue, Suite 608, P.O. Box J, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Now, there is nothing mentioned in here about any fraud, anything. The reason for the reinstatement of the bankruptcy was only to retain jurisdiction of this non-judicial commercial process, because it doesn't have to be adjudicated in court. It's all done by an administrative process through affidavits. I sent them a document under the penalty of perjury. They had 30 days to refute it. They couldn't do it. So now they want to use this here at-law court that really only applies to the District of Columbia to collect, to take control of this process. And I tried to record that in the county recorder. I could not get it recorded any place, and I thought I could maybe get it recorded in Washington, D.C. And when I was driving truck, I stopped out there at Jessup, Maryland, and I kind of was working on it. I took a load going out there, and I didn't like driving the East Coast, but there was a train station in Jessup, Maryland, where I could park my truck. And so I parked there, and I took that train in, and the train goes by every 20 minutes, and it takes you right into the heart of Washington, D.C., walking distance from the Supreme Court, all these buildings. And so I took that in, and I went to get this recorded. And, well, you start inquiring and getting to the clerk and all this here. Well, he looks at it and he examines it, and he said, well, the only way I can file this is if you have an order from a court with a judge's signature. And so here again, it's the Bar Association, who are all attorneys and judges that control absolutely everything that transpires. And this is where this country has been hijacked through this judiciary system, where the Bar Association controls basically the outcome of everything. We control it all down there. So we want to go to Exhibit M, which is 3 pages.
Right. You're right about the about them controlling everything, the Bar Association, because the majority of your politicians are bar members.
That's correct. And they give a loyalty oath to the bar.
Absolutely.
And they claim that that's superior to the Constitution, their constitutional oath. But how many oaths do they take, and which one do they take priority to? But if you control the courts, you control the banks, you control the media, I mean, the odds are pretty good in your favor. So
yeah, just ask Joe Biden.
There you go.
Or Barack Obama.
Yeah, Exhibit M, which is 3 pages. Here again, it's the United States Bankruptcy Court, District of South Dakota. Same case, dismissed, Chapter 12. A response to trustee, and this is my response to the trustee's motion to vacate, alter, amend, or modify order of dismissal and Farm Credit Services, and a motion to strike. So comes now Darrell A. Link, a former debtor and now creditor, and responds to the motion by trustee Rick A. Yarnell and moves this court to strike said documents, along with documents filed by Farm Credit Services on grounds of lack of jurisdiction and lack of consent, supporting same as follows. Number 1, the original bankruptcy application was voluntary under Chapter 12. Number 2, the dismissal was also by voluntary application. Number 3, that there is no basis under any law to allow the specific motion to be heard by this court and to allow this court to assume jurisdiction over the specific matter of the commercial affidavit of truth, notice of non-judicial proceeding, notice and warning of commercial grace, explanation sheet, and information sheet, all such to be now allegedly held hostage by this court. Number 4, that most of the obligations of any consequence relating to former creditors have been discharged by the tender of new notes, negotiable instruments under UCC 3-104 for tender of payment, and all said obligations are in suspension, joining hundreds of trillions and trillions of other such obligations since 1933. And that's when we were taken off the gold standard and we start circulating debt instruments where the gold demand certificates contained a promise to pay in gold on demand. So when you took that certificate into the bank, you could demand your hard currency. But when the Federal Reserve was brought in 1933 or in 1913, they allowed fractional reserve currency. And when they had $1 on deposit, they could lend out $9 in addition to it. And the proof of that also, you could look at any $1 bill and it will say Treasury of the United States down on the bottom left corner without a space in between the words. Because when you cash that dollar bill, you would get gold or silver coin in exchange for that $1 bill. But a 5, 10, 20, 50, or 100, you look at that, it will say United space, state space, Treasury space, of space, of the United States. It's fractionalized. They fractionate it. They tell us, but they don't really tell us because we never even notice those little things that are right in our face. So just like all those serial numbers on there are all tied back to a birth certificate somewhere too, probably. So I haven't tracked that all down, but these things are usually right in our presence without us even knowing it. And it's because we don't know the truth, we get caught up in the lie. So paragraph number 5, that 11 USC.
Hang on.
12,
Hang on.
This is the same page.
Yeah, well, I wanted to show a dollar bill.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm doing right now. And I'm showing the
Okay.
bottom left-hand corner where over here it says Treasury of the United States with virtually no spaces in between. That's the $1 bill.
That's correct.
So let's go look at a $2 bill. This is 75
A
to
$5
present.
bill.
That says Treasury of the United States. That has some demarkable spaces. Let's look at the 5. And here's the 5. Treasurer of the United States. So it does not have the United States Treasury on it. Let's go look at the 10. Treasurer of the United States. Absolutely, you are correct. 20. Same thing. 50.
They're all that way, but that identifies the fractionated bills that, you know, that's where that phrase comes that you could pay for anything with $1. And because it can only be broke down into lawful coin, which Congress was able to, you know, was given the authority to coin money and set the value thereof. And it was always defined in statute as 301 grains of silver or 28.6 grains of gold. I believe those numbers are right. Until Byron Dale in South Dakota, who was my expert witness at the criminal trial, anyway, he got in the same disagreement with Federal Land Bank. And he said, every year we continue to produce more and more livestock and produce more and more grain, and we get deeper and deeper in debt. He said, where's all this money coming from? And he had 2 boys, and his boys said, Dad, you just take the summer off and go figure out what you want to figure out, and we'll do the ranching. And so they did. And when he did, he realized this here, and he went and he used a site draft, and he paid off the debt obligation with Federal Land Bank. And the next thing, he was met, and this was, I'm not sure who the governor was. I think it was Bill Jankel, and I'm not quite sure. I probably shouldn't even say names. But he wrote a book called Bashed by the Bankers. But anyway, his wife was going to work one morning, and there was all these patrolmen and marshals and stuff all gathered at the station. And he said, Byron, they're coming for you today. And so, you know, the next thing, you know, they showed up in his yard, and he invited them in, and he was sitting at the kitchen table, and he had a little 30 caliber rifle sitting there in the corner, you know, with a 30 round clip and stuff that he'd hunt coyotes with. And, you know, and they were really interested in that, and they put it up on the table, and they were talking about it and handing it around. And there was a 32 ounce ketchup bottle in the middle of the table. And Byron, he was the kind of a stocky fella, probably maybe 5'6", you know, and pretty thick. But anyway, he watched this highway patrol guy, and he was a 9th degree black belt. And he was watching him, and he said he kept eyeballing that ketchup bottle. And well, he didn't know what to think. And the next thing, all in one fell swoop, he grabbed that ketchup bottle and whacked him over the head. And then he just commenced to pounding his face into the floor.
Wow.
And he sat there and he took a lot of it. And finally he shook his head. He said, "You son of a bitch." And he said it was like he was in a trance. He said all at once he just quit. He said if he wouldn't have did it, he said he think it'd have killed him. And the next thing, they took him down to the jail, and he was he was pretty hurting. He was really hurting. Then they hauled him up to the hospital, and the doctor, treated him and stuff. And the next thing, they took him back out of the hospital, hauled him back down to the jail. And his wife was calling around trying to find where in the heck he was at. Called down to the jail, and they said he wasn't there. And, was calling all over and couldn't find him. And, called the hospital, and, well, he was supposed to be there. And, well, then he was taken back down to the jail, and the doctor ordered them. You said, you bring him back here immediately. He will never make it till morning. And then they brought him back up there. He was hurt so bad that his face looked like a basketball, all black and blue.
Right.
And anyway, he was right there, and his wife took a bunch of pictures, and then the marshals took the camera away from her. But anyway, this is the way the swarm treats you when you are basically doing something to discharge the debt, the same way of using their fictitious currency. So I didn't get into this extreme of a battle, but he did write a book on it, and he shows all the pictures and the documents. It's called Bashed by the Bankers by Byron Dale.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, if you're interested, you could look at that up. But anyway, paragraph number 6. It says, okay, I got kind of a little distracted there, but
Yeah, you did.
number 6, that the documents identified in the Commercial Act, or did I read that right? No, that the documents identified as commercial affidavit of truth, notice of non-judicial proceeding, notice and warning of commercial grace, explanation sheet, and information sheet are all part of the non-judicial proceeding that is a billing that requires a response point by point without any BS and crafty misleading demurral. Either it is the truth or it is not. It will be the truth if the debtors or obligors refuse to argue each allegation and show the truth to be otherwise by affidavit, just as my claims stated herein are by affidavit. And paragraph number 7, which goes into the next page, it says, if this bankruptcy court assumes jurisdiction over that subject matter for adjudication on the merits, this amends the non-judicial proceeding into a judicial proceeding. And this would also require a point-by-point answer from each debtor to that claim. But such amendment would alter the due process currently being allowed to all debtors as a matter of right. Cutting off this due process is short-circuiting the normal due process that all debtors have a right to expect and demand. For this court to assume jurisdiction to this mandate an adversary action to collect all outstanding obligations owed to me. Okay, so what that's saying is if the bankruptcy court wants to take jurisdiction over that commercial lien process, then they have a duty to collect those assets and then give whatever's due to me. Okay, paragraph number 8. Furthermore, all the debts listed in specific amounts were incurred or discovered after the filing of the original bankruptcy petition and was not part of the designated bankruptcy estate. Only if the court would determine that the property is not part of the bankruptcy estate and that it should be collected could this court assume jurisdiction over that subject matter. Number 9, paragraph 9. Furthermore, Judge Eckert may not assume judicial jurisdiction on conflict of interest grounds, since he is also a debtor/party to the non-judicial proceeding. Number 10. Furthermore, I, as creditor in this subject matter, have revoked and rescinded my signatures on the Social Security number application, and technically, I cannot be a party in bankruptcy without the necessary nexus in the district to the District of Columbia venue of all bankruptcy proceedings. Now, this was the need for that filing in the county court at the Register of Deeds, and that's why it was so important for them to go in and convince a state judge to go in and remove them from the county recorder and void everything and not allow any more of them kind of documents to be filed into the court or into that record. And this is why. So, okay, paragraph 11. And finally, even if venue and jurisdiction would exist, 11 USC 1307 little e would not permit such conversions to Chapter 7 unless the debtor requests such. It is obvious that I am not requesting conversion to a Chapter 7. In Title 11, they cannot convert a farmer to an involuntary Chapter 7 only by his consent, and it is forbidden for a farmer to be, because of the nature of his business, to be forced into an involuntary business with the risk of the weather and all the other things that you could be confronted with. So they violate even their own code on that. And then the final words, the night before when I was responding to this, I had it was a Living Bible, the junior edition, 1971, by Tyndall House Publishers from Wheaton, Illinois. And I was reading from the book of Amos. And so when I mentioned this to Ray Ehrman, who was the paralegal that I was working for, and he did all the typing for me, and he was really good to help with the words and stuff. But he said, let's just include it in this response. So I read it, but he was a pastor back in the 70s and lost his voice box. But he was a man that had a deep conviction to serve truth. He was a man that, he was so committed. Sometimes when I, had a response, he said he was busy. He said, why don't you come over about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock? And he said, we'll work on it. And one night we were doing a Title 42 and he was typing away, and it was about midnight, and all at once he was typing and his head just dropped down. He just fell asleep. And he sat there for a few minutes, and all at once he woke up, he shook his head, he go, whew, man. And the next day he just kept on typing like he never even lost a spot. But that was the level of commitment that he had, to stand for truth and to help where he could. Yep. Anyway, so I'm going to read this a little bit. It says, the Lord Jehovah is...
Hey, Darrell, we're at about an hour. So whenever you think's a good stopping point, and then we can do 7 tomorrow or later this evening.
Okay, well, I can read this here, and then we're going to go into the joiners, where these here, where the different banks all joined in this in this part. I
want to keep this
because.
Yeah, I want to keep this at about an hour. I don't want to go over an hour and a half because I want to keep everybody's interest in it.
Okay.
Follow me?
Okay, well, I'll read this here part, because this is the finishing up on this document, and then we'll start with the joiners, because it takes 3 parties to force you into involuntary Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
Okay.
And this is where the 3 banks joined in, and then we'll finish up on that.
Well, that's actually a good segue to go into part 7.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect topic. Absolutely. So we're just going to finish up.
Well, I'll close with the rest of this here document here, and it says, "The Lord Jehovah is my name, and with blinding speed and violence he brings destruction on the strong, breaking all defenses. How you hate honest judges, how you despise people who tell the truth. You trample on the poor and steal their smallest crumb by all your taxes, fines, and usury. Therefore, you will never live in the beautiful stone houses you are building, nor drink the wine from the lush vineyards you are planting. For many, the great, are your sins. I know them all so well. You are the enemies of everything good, you take bribes, you refuse justice to the poor. Therefore, those who are wise will not try to interfere with the Lord in the dreaded day of your punishment. And that was from chapter 5, verses 8 to 13. And the Lord has spoken. Listen, you merchants who rob the poor, trample on the needy, you who long for the Sabbath to end, the religious days to be over, so you can get out and start cheating again using your weighted scales under the size measures, you who make slaves of the poor, buying them for their debt of a piece of silver or a pair of shoes, or selling them your moldy wheat. The Lord, the pride of Israel, has sworn, I won't forget your deeds. The land will tremble as it waits its doom, and everyone will mourn. It will rise up like the river Nile at flood time, toss about and sink again. At that time, I will make the sun go down at noon and darken the earth in the daytime. I will turn your parties into times of mourning, and your songs of joy will be turned into cries of despair. You will wear funeral clothes and shave your heads in signs of sorrow, as if your only son has died. Bitter, bitter will be that day. The time is surely coming, says the Lord God, when I will send a famine on the land, not a famine of bread and water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And that's from chapter 8, verses 4 to 11. And that was dated the 18th of October, 1994. Signed Darrell Link, United States Post Office. My name and address, and then I put a PS down on the bottom. I move for sanctions for the same amount as my attorney received. And then sign my name. So they try to put sanctions on me. So, I guess I'm dismissed and they moved. So I just give me the same amount of sanctions.
Right.
I thought that was only fair.
Okay.
So with that, we'll pick up then with where the parties joined, the joinders, the banks joined in harmony together to convert me to an involuntary chapter 7, even though I was a family farmer and they had no authority to do so.
Right.
And
absolutely awesome. Yeah, that'll be a great segue into the next one. Okay.
Well, thanks everyone for considering the lesson of seeing how the system really works and how the attorneys all work in harmony with the banks, and all the enforcement all are in support under basically an order from a bar attorney that is a judge. And this is what's controlling and destroying the country. Okay, if we had if the law was equal, then we should be able to discharge debt just like when we go into the bank to renew our note, we sign a new note and we discharge the old note. But it's your signature that is relied upon because you're the creditor.
Yep.
And this is a grand deception.
Yep. And it looks like I got dogs jumping everywhere. Looks like you were a prophesizer with this this prayer on here, and I'll leave with the last sentence. When I will send a famine on the land, not a famine of bread or water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And that seems to be where we are right now, a battle of good and evil.
Let me share one little component. Back in 1993, I went to Russia with Campus Crusade, and we were in St. Petersburg, and we were going to do a distribution at this here big Russian Orthodox church, and there was like 1,500 people that day, and they took us, like 28 of us over there, like in a Greyhound bus, and the bottom cargo area was full of books and other materials that we were going to distribute. And so we all went out and carried all that in, and I went back to get my backpack, and the bus was gone, and I seen it parked about a quarter mile away down at the end of a big park. So I said, I'm going to go run and get my backpack. I need that. So I run down there to get it. And on the way back to the fellowship hall we were going to distribute, there was this lady coming kitty corner across the park, and she was coming straight toward me. And she caught up with me, and she asked me, she said, is there any one of you from America that would have any Christian music? She said, everything has been taken from us. She said, we have nothing. She said, you know where I can get some? And I said, well, I have some in my backpack. And I could give you this, but it's just the lyrics. It don't have the music with it. But I can give you that. And so I stopped and I dug it out and give it to her. And she wanted me to, you know, to sing through it so she can get the rhythm. And I said, well, let's just get back to the group and we can, you know, maybe sing it all together. So,
oh wow!
As we were walking back, she goes, she said, I can see that you people in America are headed in the same direction as what we are trying to come out of. She said they took God out of our schools, they took God out of the church, they took God out of the church, the schools, the government, and out of our lives. And then they destroyed all resources to learn about him. And she said, I can see that you people are heading in the same direction. But she was aware, she lived through all them years, and she seen the spiritual battle that was going on. And one night we took, I don't know, there was probably 4,000 or 6,000 New Testament Bibles down to a train station to distribute them. And there was 4 of us. And they unloaded the train station, and within 20 minutes, they were absolutely all gone. There was people coming, they seen what we were handing out. They come over there, and they dropped to their knees, and they said, you know, spasiba, spasiba, which is thank you. And, you know, and then they would come back, and we had translators there with us, and they asked for an extra copy for their mother or their friend or a cousin. And so we, you know, it was just, I mean, it was like, they were just handing them out. We could hand them out as fast as we can just hand them out. But people had a desire. Once they seen what we were handing out, they all come and gathered and wanted a copy for themselves. But if you would do that here in this country, you'd be lucky if you get rid of a couple books. But these days are coming. That when we lost our way, we need to go back to the old path, and God has given us that path of truth.
Oh
and
no,
principle.
we're here, bro. We're living it right now. All right, Darrell, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for watching. Stay tuned for part 7. And Darrell, I'll catch up with you this evening.
Okay, thank you, Floyd.
Thank you,
Appreciate
everybody. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye-bye.